Discover the incredible reason this maid's daughter was cleaning dishes at 3 a.m. A touching, life-changing story awaits. Mia's hands numbed under the scalding water, each plate a reminder of long hours spent juggling homework and shifts at the diner. The clock blinked 3 a.m., an hour when most teenagers dreamed of the future. But for her, it was just another moment to scrub away the remnants of the day, her mother, Rosa, fast asleep in their tiny apartment. Each dish she washed felt like a battle, yet with every swipe of the sponge, her mind drifted back to memories of struggle. She thought of Rosa working late, coming home exhausted, yet still managing a soft smile, her warmth chasing away the lingering chill of their modest life. Mia smiled, her throat tightening. They hadn't always had enough. There were days when the fridge was near empty and nights dimmed by times. The determination in Rosa's eyes, those were memories etched into Mia's heart, fueling her aspirations, pushing her on. As thunder rumbled outside, she felt a shift in the air, dread heavy in her chest. The storm erupted suddenly. Rain lashed against the windows like 1,000 tiny fists. Midnight passed, but it seemed the neighborhood held its breath, anticipating something monumental. Hours later, the tempest's fury finally subsided, leaving heartache in its wake. News spread quickly through the neighborhood that Mr. Thompson, an elderly war veteran, had lost his home to the tempest's wrath. What would be a tragedy for most felt like an insurmountable burden for the community. That was when Mia realized that this was more than just a disaster. As the harsh reality sunk in, she envisioned the possibilities. Fueled by compassion, she raced to gather her neighbors, each offering their own quick glances of concern and uncertainty. Driven by her mother's teachings about kindness and looking after one another, Mia turned her fear into action. She felt a spark igniting inside her, a call to arms for the community, pushing back against the whispers of division that had threatened to fracture their bond. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Gathering everyone felt like forcing a puzzle's pieces together that had been pulled apart for years. Tension simmered, cracks in the polished surface of suburbia revealing old grievances, whispers of bias, judgment, and fear. Yet Mia pushed on. Her heart swelled with a combination of fervor and petulance. The fight to unite seemed monumental. As flames of hope flickered, the dawn gradually lit up the community, revealing what the storm left behind: the fallen branches, the scattered debris, and the fragility of human connection. But as Mia learned throughout the day, it was essential to let vulnerability surface alongside strength. Hope erupted, and laughter echoed, unraveling the tightly wound knots of despair. Everyone had a story, tucked in the corners of their hearts. But even as her community wrestled with its divisions, Mia glanced toward that night's town gathering, clutching the papers that detailed her mother's overdue recognition for years of dedication. Would it be enough? Would this moment be the bridge necessary to heal their wounds? As the crowd murmured and exchanged glances, fear and anticipation merged into something electrifying as she stepped up to speak, caught between her mother's legacy and the community's need to unite. The audience fell silent, the air thick with unspoken words. Could this be the moment? The moment felt suspended in time. Mia stood at the edge of the gathering, her heart racing, the papers trembling slightly in her grip. Faces turned toward her, some familiar, others distant, but all held the weight of shared history and unexpressed pain. She took a deep breath, feeling both the gravity of her mother's sacrifices and the hope that pulsed through the crowd. "Mama always said," she started, her voice cracking with emotion, "it's not about where you come from, it's about how you stand up when life gets tough." A few nods from the crowd encouraged her. She pressed on, recalling how Rosa had worked double shifts just to put food on the table. She spoke of resilience, of how Mr. Thompson, with his war stories, had always been there to share wisdom and laughter. That, despite the storm that had wrecked his home, the community stood stronger when they leaned on one another. Tonight, we need to be like family, she urged, her voice steadying. This is our opportunity to come together and lift each other up. As the words flowed, Mia felt a flicker of strength transform into a fire. She couldn't control the storm that had torn apart Mr. Thompson's life, but she could help rebuild. She could rally everyone together to clear the debris, to work hand in hand. We don't have to do this alone. Unity will carry us through. Cheers erupted softly at first, then swelled into a chorus of enthusiasm, the energy igniting the atmosphere. It felt electric, pulsing through her veins. A woman stepped forward, raising her hand. I'll help organize a fundraiser. We can bring in food and supplies. Another neighbor called out, I have a truck. I can help transport donations. Mia's heart soared as one voice turned into many. The spirit of generosity, which had been dampened by fear and division, began to reshape itself into something palpable, brimming with light. Yes, it was chaos and emotions, but it was togetherness, too. As the gathering faded into a blur of murmurs and spirited planning, Mia caught sight of Rosa near the back of the crowd, her tired eyes now glistening. Mia felt a pang of determination swell inside her. She had been raised by strength, and it was time to honor that legacy. She rushed toward her mother, the smiles blooming in the crowd like wildflowers in spring. Did you hear them, Mama? They're ready to fight for Mr. Thompson. Rosa wrapped her arms around Mia, and in that moment, the intensity of their bond enveloped them like a warm quilt. You did this, Mia. You brought them together, she whispered, a mixture of pride and bewilderment sparkling in her eyes. The night unfolded into plans filled with hope, laughter, and resilience. They organized food drives, set up volunteers to clean debris, and created an outpouring of support for Mr. Thompson. With every promise made, the community stitched themselves tighter into a cloak of belonging. But as the sun dipped and the first stars flickered to life, Mia couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The sense of possibility filled the air, heavy with uncharted paths ahead. They had rebuilt connections, but deeper issues lay unearthed, veiled by stormy waters waiting to be navigated. As she prepared to head home with Rosa, a shadow fell across them. Another neighbor approached, someone Mia hadn't fully trusted before. She hesitated for a moment before stepping forward, curiosity and uncertainty battling inside her. Mia, the neighbor said slowly, I think we need to talk about more than just Mr. Thompson. Mia's heart raced again. What could this mean? What were they on the brink of discovering? As the neighbor's words hung in the air, Mia felt a knot tighten in her stomach. The evening had sparked joy and purpose, but something about this conversation felt like a storm cloud ready to burst. What do you mean? Mia asked, keeping her voice even, though curiosity gnawed within her. It's about the goings-on in the neighborhood, the neighbor replied, glancing around nervously as if the shadows might eavesdrop. Everything that's happened with Mr. Thompson, it's connected to a lot of things no one has talked about. Mia felt a chill run up her spine. She knew there were heavy, unspoken truths hidden beneath the surface. The inspiration from earlier was still fresh, pulsing in her and calling her to action. We can't keep quiet any longer, she said, her determination spurting life into her words. Whatever it is, we need to face it head on. Rosa stood beside her, a protective hand on Mia's shoulder, sensing her daughter's unease. The whole gathering, their community, had rallied for a singular focus, but now it felt like they were on the edge of uncovering deeper cracks in their foundation. What do you know? Rosa asked, her voice calm but firm. There's tension, history, the neighbor admitted, wringing her hands. Years of misunderstanding and hurt that we've tucked away. Mr. Thompson isn't the only one affected by the storm. We all are. Mia leaned in, urging for more. Please, tell us. We need to understand. If we are moving forward, we can't do it half-heartedly. The neighbor sighed heavily. I didn't want to bring it to light, but there have been whispers of resentment under it all. The way things were before. Who got what when help came? Who was always in the background? She hesitated for a moment before continuing. There are long-standing divides, lines drawn between neighbors that we've just ignored. The blame game is still alive and well. Rosa's eyes widened. The realities were harsher than Mia could have imagined. As she glanced back at Rosa, she saw the realization flicker across her mother's face. We can't ignore this, Mia said, her voice gaining strength. We need to address these divides if we really want to rebuild. Unity isn't just about coming together. It's about understanding each other. The neighbor nodded slowly. I fear it may take more than a fundraiser to heal these wounds. We'll need to have some tough conversations. Mia's heart raced at the thought of digging into the past. Then let's start those conversations, not just for Mr. Thompson, but for every one of us. A murmur rippled through the crowd, echoing her encouragement. Faces that had been clouded with suspicion now flickered with cautious hope. There was recognition. They could reshape their connections and dare to embrace their differences. Rosa looked at her daughter, pride shining through the uncertainty. We can't shy away from the hard truths. Mia took a deep breath, weighing her next words. Let's create a forum, a safe place where everyone's voice counts, where anger and pain can be shared and healing can begin. The neighbor stepped back, taking in Mia's resolve. There was a spark in her eyes, something Mia recognized as potential. Yet, as she looked around, doubts began to creep in. Could they truly face the past together? What if their attempts only cracked the fragile facade of unity? Before we step forward, what if... She hesitated. What if someone doesn't want to heal? What if they want to hold on to anger? Mia, trust the community. You've seen tonight what they're capable of, Rosa reassured her. With each heartbeat, Mia felt that tug of fear and hope, two sides of the same coin. The road ahead was unsure, but perhaps that uncertainty also held the promise of a deeper connection. As they turned to leave the gathering, the atmosphere buzzed with potential, recipe for healing, yet riddled with risk. In the distance, she caught sight of Mr. Thompson, quietly observing from the shadows, as if realizing the conversation was about more than just his home. And suddenly, Mia recognized someone else standing beside him, a figure cloaked in anonymity. They'd shared glances before, but now that face seemed vital somehow. "Wait!" Mia called out as the figure began to retreat. "We need to talk!" The moment hung in the air, thick with anticipation, electric with possibility. What lay hidden within that person's story? What perspective could they reveal about the past and the community's struggles? As silence enveloped them, Mia felt a heartbeat echo in the stillness. She had stepped into the storm, but was she ready for what came next? The figure paused, turning slowly to face Mia. She couldn't quite make out their features in the dim light, but the shadows seemed to hold secrets. The unease in her heart clashed with the urge to uncover the truth. "Who are you?" Mia asked, her voice steady but laced with urgency. The figure shifted, shrouded in uncertainty. "Just someone who has seen too much," they replied, their tone almost a whisper. "But do you really want to know? It's dangerous to look back." Dangerous. The word settled heavily between them, hung in the air, thick as fog. Since when had looking back become synonymous with danger? She had been ready to face the past for her community, to dig into the layers of pain and misunderstanding. But had she underestimated the weight of those memories? "I can't turn back now," Mia responded, determination anchoring her voice. "Our neighborhood, our lives, they depend on it. We need accountability. We need understanding." The figure's brow furrowed. "What if understanding comes with consequences? Are you prepared for that?" Mia felt her heart race again. The thought of revelations that might shatter the fragile hope her community was clinging to sent a shiver down her spine. "We have to try. It's the only way to move forward." Just then, Mr. Thompson stepped out of the shadows, shoulders bent under the weight of unacknowledged burdens. He had been an unyielding pillar of the community, yet tonight he seemed more vulnerable than ever. A wave of emotions washed over Mia, anger, sympathy, but most of all, a deep-seated desire to bridge the divide. "Mia," he said, voice trembling, "it's not just about the past. You need to know how deep this goes, how many lives are tied to this thread of resentment." "What do you mean?" Mia pressed, feeling the challenge in his gaze. Suddenly, the figure beside him spoke again, this time with more resolve. "You don't understand, do you? Each name you uncover comes with its own story. Some stories will hurt more than others. Some tales could destroy what little unity we have left." Mia felt the pull of fear tighten around her. She wanted to scream that they needed to unearth the truth, but what if that truth were too painful? Looking at the skeptical faces in the crowd gathering behind her, she realized they awaited her next move. The burden of leadership felt heavy, yet the flicker of hope burned bright. If we don't talk about this now, we'll remain stuck, trapped in our own anger and divisions. We owe it to ourselves. Mr. Thompson cut her off, his voice thicker with emotion. Some conversations can't be taken back, Mia. There are histories here that cut deep. I know, she replied, adrenaline rushing through her veins, but no one deserves to stay silent any longer. We can't heal what we don't acknowledge. Then you better be ready, the cloaked figure warned, their eyes locked onto hers, because this isn't just about one person or one family. It's a reckoning that can touch us all. Mia's stomach fluttered. What awaited her was murkier than she had anticipated. Let's set up that forum, she insisted, her resolve stronger than the fear. If we're going to face this storm together, we have to hold on to hope. As the crowd stirred, a murmur of agreement rippled through them. It was a small but significant step towards reclaiming their future. Yet, as she turned back to the figure, ready to encourage them to join, they were gone, vanished into the night like a fleeting whisper that left behind a chilling uncertainty. Mia realized then that this journey might demand more from her than she had bargained for. What terrifying truths waited behind those doors? And how many more people would they need to connect with to piece together the whole picture? As night fell deeper, she felt the weight of 1,000 stories pressing down. The journey to healing had begun, but the path ahead was still shrouded in shadows and unanswered questions. Across the street, lights flickered in old windows, where faces peered out with worry and curiosity. What if they were too late to mend what had already been broken? How would they confront those heavy, untold stories that rippled beneath their feet? Determined to find the answers, Mia squared her shoulders. Tomorrow, she would summon the courage to light a fire within the community. But tonight, the weight of the unknown lingered, heavy as the fading light. And in that silence, Mia resolved to prepare for whatever truth would come next. The morning sun broke through the gray clouds, casting a warm glow over the neighborhood. Mia woke up with a feeling of urgency coursing through her. Today was the day. Today, she would gather the community and confront the history shadowing their lives. She hopped out of bed, her heart racing as she replayed the pivotal conversation from the night before. The cloaked figure's words echoed in her mind. This isn't just about one person or one family. Each name could pull apart the threads of hope they'd worked so hard to weave together. As she readied herself, Mia's thoughts turned to her parents. They had always taught her the importance of knowing where she came from, of understanding the past to build a better future. She wondered if they would support her in this journey, if they would even understand the magnitude of what she was about to confront. In the kitchen, the smell of fresh coffee filled the air. Her mother hummed softly as she prepared breakfast. "You seem restless this morning," her mom observed, glancing up from the stove. "What's on your mind?" Mia took a deep breath, steadying herself before speaking. "I'm organizing a community forum. I want to talk about everything that's happened in our neighborhood, what's been hidden." Her mother's brow raised, concern flashing across her face. "Mia, you know how delicate things are. Do you really think that's a good idea?" "I believe it is," Mia replied, her voice growing stronger. "If we ignore our history, we won't heal. We'll stay divided. I want the truth, Mom, even if it hurts." Her mom placed a warm hand on Mia's shoulder. "I understand, sweetie. Just be careful. Some truths are harder to face than we expect." "Thanks, Mom," Mia smiled, feeling a bit more grounded. She poured herself a cup of coffee, tasting the bitterness tempered by the sweetness of her mother's support. As the hours passed, Mia frantically put together flyers and gathered support from neighbors. She spoke to everyone, feeling a mixture of excitement and apprehension each time she approached a new face. Would they listen? Would they share their own stories? When the time came, people began to drift into the community center, their expressions a mix of curiosity and uncertainty. Mia watched as familiar faces filled the rows, but there was something different about them, a shared heaviness in their demeanor. She felt the crowd's tension, a palpable force that threatened to pull them apart. "Thank you all for coming," she started, her voice echoing in the large space. "Today, we're here to talk about our past. It's easy to ignore the things that make us uncomfortable, but I believe we owe it to ourselves to confront them together." She scanned the room, looking for encouragement in the faces staring back at her. The past is like a wound that we've all carried, but it's time for healing, time to understand the roots of our pain. A hush fell over the crowd, whispers of agreement mingling with caution. Mr. Thompson stood up, his hands trembling as they gripped the back of a chair. "Mia," he called out, his voice unsteady, "you're right, but some wounds go deeper than you imagine. Are we really ready to unearth what we buried?" Mia's pulse quickened, an adrenaline rush ripping through her. She had hoped for engagement, but wasn't prepared for this level of scrutiny. "I think we have to try," she replied, trying to steady herself. "If we don't try to understand, how can we ever move forward?" The tension hung in the air, thick as smoke. Some nods of agreement turned to hesitant glances among the crowd. What secrets had they been keeping? As they prepared to dive into discussions, a siren blared in the distance, jolting the room. Conversations paused, and all eyes turned toward the windows. The harsh wail seemed to echo their unease, mirroring the storm brewing within them. Mia's heart sank. Was this a sign? A foreboding warning of what lay ahead? Deep down, she realized, this was only the tip of the iceberg. "Are we ready to confront our truths?" Mia asked, her voice cutting through the silence, pulling everyone's focus back. Just as she prepared to guide them deeper, a loud crash sounded from outside. "What was that?" someone shouted, panic rising. Mia's breath caught in her throat. It was starting. But where would it lead them? As the crowd shifted nervously, Mia felt an unexpected mix of dread and determination. The past was knocking at their door, and they were about to answer. But what awaited them on the other side? Mia felt the air thicken with tension, everyone's eyes darting to the windows, their hearts racing. Outside, the chaos had erupted in a symphony of shouts and sirens. Out there, in the depth of the unknown, something was happening, something that could ripple into the fragile equilibrium of the community she was attempting to rebuild. "Let's stay calm," she finally said, raising her voice over the nervous murmurs. "We don't know what it is yet. Let's stick together." But inside, doubt churned. Was this disturbance a sign, or just an unfortunate coincidence? She had summoned others to confront their pasts, and now it seems the universe had thrown them an immediate crisis. Mr. Thompson moved closer to her, a frown creasing his brow. "Do you think we should break this up? Maybe now isn't the time." "No," Mia's response was instinctual. Fear was a barricade they could no longer hide behind. "We can't let fear push us back into silence. We might learn something important today." The murmurs quieted as she remembered her motivations, the reason behind this assembly. The stagnant air filled with possibilities, and she felt the gathered energy vibrating. "Let me tell you a story," she prompted. Everyone turned, curiosity sidestepping their fear. "When I was younger, I heard of a time when our families struggled together. Times when sharing each other's burdens was the only way to survive. We did this together. They were tough days, but look at us now. If we join hands again, we can face whatever is out there." As she spoke, a few members straightened, nodding slowly. She could see the flicker of determination begin to ignite in their eyes. This was their moment, not just to discuss the past, but to forge new connections with one another. The crash outside was followed by footsteps, heavy and urgent. A figure appeared in the doorway, a neighbor, Samuel, covered in dirt, chest heaving. "The old mill by the river, it's burned! Smoke and flames everywhere! I was just helping out!" Gasps filled the room. Mia felt the weight of worry hanging heavy over everyone. The mill was part of their history, a symbol of their collective memories, good and bad. If it burned, what else might be lost? "Are you all right?" she asked, stepping forward, her heart pounding. "What can we do?" "They need water buckets. We can form a line. What are we waiting for?" Samuel's urgency electrified the room. A murmur rippled through the crowd, hearts racing together, rising up to meet the challenge. Mia felt a surge of resolve. "Let's do it. We won't just sit here. Grab anything, buckets, containers. We can save what's left of our history." Focus shifted. People jumped into action, grabbing whatever they could find. In that instant, the tension of the meeting melted away, replaced by a sense of shared purpose. They were on the brink of chaos, yet under Mia's guidance, they began transforming it into action. As community members formed a line heading out the door, Mia caught a glimpse of her mother in the back, worry etched across her face. There was no denying the dangers that could come from this, not just for the mill, but for everyone involved in the fight against their past. "Remember, we're not just saving bricks and mortar," Mia called. "We're saving the stories we've carried within us." With that, she rushed outside, adrenaline pumping through her veins as they surged forward. The crowd moved with determination, some shouting for water while others grabbed anything to help. Mia could feel a bond forming, not only among friends, but also with the ghosts of their shared histories. But as they got closer to the blaze, another thought throbbed in Mia's mind. Was it really the fire that threatened them most, or was it the fire of their unresolved truths that would burn hotter? Were they ready not only to fight for the mill, but also to face what else came with their collective history? Her heart raced with both excitement and unease as she pushed forward, as the flames danced in the distance, sending dark shadows flickering across the ground. What truths waited for them on the other side of the fire? Mia pushed through the crowd, her heart pounding in sync with the flames licking the sky. Each step felt heavier than the last, but she fought against the weight of her doubts. The crackle of the fire grew louder, mingling with the frantic shouts of her neighbors. "Water over here," someone called, their voice ragged with urgency. She turned, her focus sharpening, as she saw rows of buckets forming a lifeline, each carried by determined hands. She joined the line, grabbing the nearest bucket, and felt the cool weight of it settle in her grasp. "Keep moving, everyone," Mia encouraged. "We can't let the fire win." Driven by adrenaline, they filled bucket after bucket at the riverbank, splashing cold water over the flames that threatened to consume the mill. The air was heavy with smoke, but even heavier was the haze of remembered sorrow that clung to Mia's heart.
For her, the mill represented more than just wood and nails. It was a tapestry woven with laughter, tears, and stories passed down through generations. "Sarah!" Mia shouted as she spotted a friend struggling to stabilize her bucket. "You've got this! Just focus!" The words felt as much for Mia as they were for Sarah. Inside, she wrestled with memories of her childhood, how her family had come together when the mill operated at its fullest, bartering, trading, sharing what little they had. Those days felt so distant, but standing here now, she realized how urgent it was to protect that legacy. As they rushed back and forth, someone stumbled. A gasp echoed, followed by the crash of their bucket spilling mishap. "What's wrong?" Mia shouted, concern churning in her stomach. It was Samuel again, his face smeared with soot as he tried to lift the fallen bucket. I can't," he murmured, his voice cracking. Without thinking, Mia darted to his side. "We've got to keep moving. We're all feeling the weight, but together we'll get through this." The glaze of panic on Samuel's face shifted to a reluctant smile as he threaded his arm through hers. "Thanks, Mia. Don't. We're doing this together, remember?" They joined the line again, the rhythm of their actions reminding Mia of a well-rehearsed dance. As they poured water over the hungry flames, camaraderie blossomed. Smiles slowly broke free amidst the sweat and worry, each splash of water a testament to their resilience. But then a loud crack echoed through the air. A beam from the mill's roof had collapsed. A wave of heat radiated toward them, forcing them back. In that moment of retreat, Mia's heart sank. The chaotic rush halted, and for a brief second, hope dimmed. She bit her lip, struggling against emotion. "We can't give up. We can't let fear stop us." The group shifted closer, drawn by her words. The combination of danger and nostalgia stirred a tide of memories in Mia. This was more than just saving a building. It was the heartbeat of their shared histories and futures entwined. As she spoke, she spotted her mother at the sidelines, her face a storm of fear and pride. "Mom, help us!" she yelled, beckoning her mother to join. The moment hung thick with unspoken truth. Would fear take hold once more, or would they stand firm against it? With determination sparking in her eyes, her mother stepped forward, gripping an empty bucket. Together, they formed a small unit, each motivational word fueling the fight against both the flames and the uncertainty that threatened to ignite old wounds. Mia's heart swelled with renewed purpose as they moved back into the fray, side by side. Yet, as the fire crackled ominously, she couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper awaited them. What long-buried secrets were about to surface in the flames, and would their unity be enough to face the revelations lurking behind the smoke? Mia grabbed another bucket, her arms straining under the weight, but it felt insignificant compared to the burdens they were fighting against. The flames danced like wild spirits, casting erratic shadows that twisted and turned, beckoning her to remember. Memories spiked through the chaos, her childhood laughter, the scent of baked bread wafting from the mill, her father's booming voice. This was their home. She couldn't let it vanish into smoke. "Keep it coming!" her mother shouted, her voice slicing through the thick smoke. Mia glanced at her, heart swelling with pride. They were fighting this together, just as generations of their family had done before. "On it!" Mia called back, her strength renewed. She dashed toward the river, the cool water splashing her face as she filled her bucket once more. But the fire was cunning, licking its way around the mill's supports with malicious intent. Every bucket they tossed felt like a drop in the ocean, but they kept at it, a line formed by the community standing shoulder to shoulder. As they passed buckets hand to hand, a look of resolve settled over them. This was not just about saving a building, it was about saving each other. Then she heard a soft cry from nearby. "Help! Someone, please!" Mia dropped her bucket, heart racing as she followed the sound. The crowd had parted, revealing an elderly woman trapped beneath a heavy beam. Fear gripped Mia's chest. It was Mrs. Thompson, the sweet old lady who had once taught Mia how to bake cookies in the back of the mill. "Don't panic, Mrs. Thompson, we're coming," Mia shouted, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside. She and Samuel rushed forward, while others formed a line to get the beam off her. "Make way," Mia insisted, adrenaline fueling her resolve. They pushed through the weight of panic that hung in the air, and the little community rallied around. "Together now," Samuel added, locking eyes with Mia, determination radiating from him. On the count of 3, they lifted. The wood groaned, but they heaved the beam aside just enough to free Mrs. Thompson. The old woman gasped, her frail body trembling as she was helped back to her feet. "Mia, you're a brave girl," she whispered, tears pooling in her eyes. "You're safe now," Mia replied, her voice cracking as relief flooded her. "You'll be okay." But as they stepped back, the structure of the mill creaked ominously. A low rumble echoed above them, sending a fresh wave of dread through the group. "Everyone, move back," someone yelled, but it felt too late. The foundation trembled as a wall began to buckle, and debris rained down. Mia cried out for everyone to duck. Instinct took over as she threw her arms around Mrs. Thompson, shielding her from falling debris. The world around them spun, chaos erupting in confusion, shouts mingling with the roar of the flames. Regaining composure, Mia stumbled backward, her heart racing, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She glanced around. The group was scattering, some still trying to save what they could, others seeking safety. It was a jigsaw of determination, fear, and hope. "Mom!" she shouted, searching for her mother amid the frantic crowd. "Mia!" Her mother's voice pierced through the noise. She found her, frantically pushing debris away as she checked on others. Mia made her way to her, breathless, fear clawing at her insides. "Are we running out of time?" Mia asked, her voice barely a whisper. Her mother met her gaze, fear and hope mingling. There was something in her eyes, a fire that mirrored the one consuming the mill. "We won't lose this. We can't." But as they stood together, watching the wall buckle one last time, a sense of foreboding overshadowed everything. What more was at stake than just the mill? What truths lay hidden, waiting to come to light when all seemed lost? "Together?" Mia asked, heart pounding. "Always," her mother replied. But would they be able to withstand these flames? Or would old wounds ignite in the blaze? As the mill's structure shifted dangerously, Mia's heart sank. What other secrets were waiting to be revealed in the heat? Would they rise from the ashes or be consumed? "Everyone, we have to go," a man shouted, breaking through the confusion. His voice pulled Mia and her mother back to reality. The fire's roar grew louder, almost drowning out everything else. They could feel the heat singeing the back of their necks, a cruel reminder of the danger they faced. With one last look at the crumbling structure of the mill, Mia felt a twinge of despair. It felt as if the world was collapsing around her, but there was no time to waste. She grasped her mother's hand, urgency gripping her. "Let's get everyone out, right behind you," her mother replied, eyes still filled with determination. Together, they moved through the crowd, calling out to their neighbors, urgent, desperate shouts blending into a chorus of fear and hope. Mia caught glimpses of faces, some twisted in anguish, others set with resolve. It was the essence of their community, a tapestry of lives woven together through shared histories and daily routines. "Over here," a yell yelled, pointing toward the riverbank. Stray villagers were gathering, realizing the only chance for survival was to flee toward the water. "Let's help," Mia urged her mother, breaking into a run. They rushed toward the growing group, ducking low to avoid the embers dancing in the air. As they reached the river, a collective sigh of relief rippled through the crowd. Feet splashed against the edge as people raced to safety. But there was no time to relax. Just as Mia caught her breath, she heard another call. "Mia, down here." It was Samuel, waving frantically from a cluster of frightened children. A few were kneeling in shock, while others cried out for their parents. Without thinking, Mia sprinted toward them. "Samuel, we have to get them across." Nodding, he took charge, moving to gather the children close. "Hey, stay close. Follow us." His voice remained steady, and Mia felt a surge of gratitude for his calm nature. Mia reached them just as more debris fell from the mill's belly, creating a loud crash that rattled the ground. "Go! Now!" she urged. Her heart raced, not just from the fear of flames, but from the urgency for these children to find safety. They formed a line, hand in hand. Mia took the smallest child, a boy with tear-streaked cheeks, and led the way into the cool water, feeling its refreshing touch soothe some of her panic. "Stay together," Samuel called, zipping through the shallow parts with an authority that made Mia proud. It was moments like these that reminded her their bond was deeper than fear. Once at the riverbank, they turned to look back. The mill blazed as if it had a life of its own, hungrily consuming, swirling smoke billowing into the night sky. But amid the chaos, Mia spotted Mrs. Thompson, separated from the group, her frail figure struggling against the current. Panic surged within her. "Mom, I have to help her," Mia shouted over the din, already moving back. "No, it's too dangerous," her mother shouted, grabbing Mia's arm to pull her back. "Mia," Samuel's voice cut through the frenzy. "But I can't abandon her. She needs us." Torn between courage and caution, she felt the sting of despair weighing heavy on her. In this frantic moment, would she risk everything? As Mia glanced back at Mrs. Thompson, she saw the old woman's eyes glimmering with fear and hope. It fueled something deep within Mia. "I have to try." Without another word, she leaped away from her mother's grip, determination set on her face. "Mia, wait," Samuel called, but the urgency pulled her forward. She glanced back at her mother, who looked stricken, yet Mia saw that flicker of pride mixed with fear. She lunged into the water, driven by the knowledge that she must save not just a person, but a piece of her past, an irreplaceable connection to her childhood. But even as she fought the current, she couldn't shake the thought of what would happen if she failed. This was no longer just a fire. It was a test of everything they had. What else did she stand to lose? As she reached for Mrs. Thompson's outstretched hand, a loud crack splintered the air behind her. The reality of the mill's imminent collapse loomed over them both. Would she be able to pull the woman to safety before it was too late? Mia stretched out her hand, fingers grazing Mrs. Thompson's trembling palm. An electric jolt sparked through her, anchoring her resolve. "I've got you," she shouted, her heart pounding against her ribcage, time slipping away like water through their fingers. With every ounce of determination, she pulled, strengthening her grip. "Hold on!" The elderly woman's frail body fought against the current, but Mia wasn't letting go. Together, they braved the icy embrace of the river, her muscles burning with exertion. The world spun around them, enveloped in chaos. But in this moment, it was just Mia and Mrs. Thompson. "Keep kicking," Mia urged, as she pulled her closer to safety. She reached down to steady the woman, anchoring her against the current. The force of the river pushed against them, but hope buoyed them both. With a final surge of effort, Mia's lungs screamed for air as she planted her feet on the pebbled shore, dragging Mrs. Thompson to dry ground. Cheers erupted around them. Mia's heart fluttered with a mix of relief and exhaustion. But she had no time to let her guard down. She turned, scanning the chaos at the mill. It still raged behind them, fierce and consuming, stirring in her an urgent need to act. "Gather, everyone," she yelled, spotting her mother as she joined the group forming around the beleaguered children and their families. "We need to help." Together, they had to navigate the rising tide of emotions, intense enough to drown them all. It was time to forge connections, to heal, and to face what had been hidden for too long. She pushed forward, her heart rallying behind her words. "We can't let the fire destroy the memories, the stories that bind us. We need to preserve our history and save what's left of our community." The crowd's fear evolved into determination as her words washed over them. They understood the impending danger of the flames, but they also felt the yearning to stay connected. With an air of renewed purpose swirling around, Mia turned to Samuel. He nodded, understanding the unsaid challenge ahead. "We need teams. Let's keep moving to help each other." Bit by bit, they formed groups, determined to save the mill's remnants while refusing to let fear shackle them. They were no longer just neighbors. They were a unified force. Mia worked alongside her mother in each line they formed, hauling what they could salvage. As they stepped back to assess the damage, a feeling of inevitability filled the air. This was the moment. "This is only the beginning," her mother whispered beside her, sweat glistening on her brow. "We'll rebuild, not just buildings, but relationships." Mia's heart soared. It was a vision of hope, a promise to fight through the ashes, to strengthen the ties that had frayed over years of silence. "We need to talk," she muttered, more to herself than anyone else. And so they did, with each story shared around the flickering shadows of the flames, a remembrance of shared stories, lessons learned, and the developments ahead. A new narrative unfolded. The community began to wrap its arms around healed wounds, blending voices in a chorus of laughter, compassion, and togetherness. As the sun dipped low, turning the sky into hues of soft orange, Mia glanced toward the horizon, feeling the warmth embrace her. "It will take time, but together we can face anything," she said, her voice a soft promise to all. The flickering light from the remaining structure illuminated their faces, casting a newfound strength across the small crowd. Out of the turmoil, Mia caught a glimpse of Mrs. Thompson, her eyes shining with gratitude. "You've given us something precious, Mia. You've brought us back together." As Mia met her mother's gaze, the bond of hope reached deeper than words could express. They weren't just defining the past, they were transforming the future. Their past entwined, feeding the roots of recovery, illuminating a path littered with both memories and laughter. "Tomorrow," Mia said, feeling the electricity of a new dawn stirring, "let's meet and see how we can lift one another even higher." "Together," her mother replied, pride sparkling in her eyes. A cheer erupted, flowing from the crowd, their voices intertwined, creating a tapestry that promised to endure the flames and carry them forward into a future filled with compassion and unity. As Mia stood there, surrounded by her family and friends, she knew the journey was just beginning. They were ready to uncover the truths of their past, finding strength in their connection. If they faced the storm together, they could rise, hand in hand, toward a brighter horizon. Now, for you reading this, you need to subscribe now to catch the next inspiring journey waiting ahead. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and keep this community alive. Comment your thoughts about this ending and share your feelings. How does this transformation inspire you? Don't wait not even one more second to share this story with at least 5 friends who need to feel this wave of hope and connection. Join us, and let's keep this narrative of change flowing.